All right, on Talk Time this beautiful Saturday morning, we are looking at ethical values and leadership renaissance in Nigeria, a pathway to national rebirth. My guest is someone who's been there for several years. If I ask you, little would you know that he's been lecturing for over 38 years, and he has defined a great path in terms of excellence for himself. Professor Chiedozie Okoro is a renowned professor of philosophy and currently is the head department of philosophy, University of Lagos, and is joining me right here in the studios. Professor Okoro, nice to have you in the building. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And how was your journey here?
Oh, smooth.
Great. Let's just kick it off right away because one of the things we want to try and do this morning is to reflect through ethical values and, of course, the call for leadership renaissance. In the past, we've been dissecting the quality of leadership that we've had in all levels, and people are asking the question, where did we get it wrong? Prof, let's start first. If you are to assess the ethical values question and the question in Nigeria right now, how would you rate it?
Well, very low.
Why low?
Because if we are ethical, then we will not be in dire strip the way we are today. Things will move smoothly. People will behave well. Nobody will try to flout the law and upon it claim rights. So, by the African standard, we have lost shame. Yeah.
We have lost shame.
Shame, because it's partly I have traveled wide, and it's only in this country you do something wrong and you stand on your wrong and claim it's right.
Right. And I know there's so many things that we can make reference to. We'll touch on that very, very shortly. But is there a connection between the quality of the values that we hold on to and the leadership that we have today?
Of course, because it is the followership that becomes the leadership. And so there's this complementarity between leadership, there's this synergy, there's this connection, there's this link between the followership and the leadership. And if you have a lousy, noisy followership, you're going to have a clownish leadership.
And this is what we've seen in recent time, right?
Yes.
But it didn't start from today, Prof.
No, it started by the breaking down of our values. You said something about Henry Ford, and that's what our people say. If I go back to my own language, it says, Igwebike, solidarity is strength. Mbikota bondo, that is to working together is life, is existence, is coexistence. And then Mbishashi, bon. All right, that is not working together, not moving together, is death.
All right.
And then I know the Yoruba have a saying say that goes this way: Abajowa, by bringing hands together, working together, moving together. That's what brings progress.
So at what point did we begin to lose all of this? I mean, if all these proverbial sayings have been in existence for years, how come the moral fabric, the ethical values that those sayings were coined out from, how come they've all disappeared?
In the first instance, as a philosopher, let me make a difference between ethics and morals.
Talk to me.
Morals is embedded in our culture, is embedded in our religion, is embedded in our traditions. Ethics is a philosophical discourse, evaluation of morals. For instance, I give you a simple example. Morals says, thou shalt not steal.
Okay.
And then it says, if you steal, you are bad. And if you are honest, you are good. So morals talks about righteousness. But ethics explains why stealing spoils the whole thing. And because stealing, for instance, spoils business. And you know, without business, without trust in business, business will collapse. And that's why in this part of the world, we put profit when we are doing business. We think business is trading. Make your profit anyhow. And so you see, on the long run, our businesses don't last. But if you see those who make the society, the people, their focus, then product to address the problem that the people are facing, a second focus. Then from there they make little profit, what you call turnover. you see that those companies last, and that's what Collins and Porras have written about and researched about in Built to Last, a study of companies that have been there for
ages.
And what is keeping them? At any time they derail, they go back to their principles, their basic objectives, which we call their philosophies. And they see that they have derailed. So they go back and renew it and innovate it and make sure they key into it. So the hardcore must never be lost.
Right.
To address your question of how did we lose it. Now, so the hardcore must never be lost. At any time you have a problem, you go back to the hardcore and you see how you have derailed. And so you retract yourself. And so you retract yourself, you discover you begin to make progress. Now, the question of morals, morals and ethics addresses the question, who is a human being?
Okay.
Like we say, and so if you analyze what a human being is, you now discover there's something that makes us different from animals. That thing that makes us different from animals is that we are metaphysical beings. Okay. We are beings like we are. This program that is going on right now can only be transacted by you and I.
Right.
You cannot bring a dog here, no matter how you educated the dog, and you bring it here to talk. All it will tell you is woof, woof, woof.
That's right. So perhaps people say the reason the major difference is our sense of reasoning.
But for our traditional fathers, this sense of reasoning, what does it boil down to? Character. Omume, agwa, iwa.
Okay.
And they say it is the beauty of life. And that's what the Igbo mean when they say mando. And that's what the Yoruba mean when they say eninya. What makes it for you to prosper, to move from point A to B? It is character.
Character. So this character must be in such a way that it must be dealt with conscience. Is that what it means?
Oh, without conscience, there's no character.
Great. So, is it to say that we've lost the national consciousness?
Well, you see, we have to define what Nigeria should be. We have not done so.
It has never been done in our 65 years.
We have never done so. What we are doing is that we are struggling with what we inherited from the Europeans. And when we say, let us discuss it, some few people say, don't discuss it. Don't touch that area.
Right.
And you have to discuss it because a nation without ideal cannot prosper. The question of politics in philosophy, what you call political philosophy, the difference between political philosophy and political science is that political science is dealing with reality, the state as it is. But political philosophy is dealing with the ideal, the state as it should be. And so a state without ideal will not prosper because you do not have an ideal, an idea you are pursuing, trying to pursue. And at any time you pursue it, you are better. For instance, none of us, in Christianity, nobody can be like Christ. In Islam, everybody wants to pattern their life after the saints of Islam, like Prophet Muhammad. These are people. What do they know them for? Character. What do they know them? What are they known for? Virtue. And character is that what you call steadiness of character, consistency of character. You are known that at any time we get to you, you are a problem solver.
So let's put it back a bit now, Prof. Because when you look at all of these things that you define for us right now, when you trace our national history, back in the 50s and the early 60s, we talk about the nationalists. And people say they still they displayed high qualities of character. They displayed qualities of resilience and integrity and all of that. When you compare that leadership to what we have today, some say they are miles apart.
Yeah, they are miles apart. And that what you're saying is that if you look at the founding fathers, they started on regionalism. And then by regionalism, we are closer to our culture. All right. Now, because of the interregnum of the intervention of the military, and then the crisscross, we went through certain experience, and then the military came in. And when they came in, they destroyed the foundation that made us be close to our culture and to centralize the whole country.
So was it wrong?
It was wrong because we are taking off our culture. And then, you see, the thing about coloniality that we fail to understand is that what was the focus or the agenda of colonization? The agenda of colonization is to destroy the structure of the African. What is that foundation of the African? Your ethnicity. Because your ethnicity defines who you are. Go to Europe. There is no nation in Europe that is not an ethnic nation.
Right.
Even in Britain, the nation supersedes the state. That is why England is for the English, Scotland for the Scottish. You don't go to America and hear British American. What you hear is English American, Scottish American, Welsh American,
right.
Irish American. Even they are all from Britain. The man who sang "I'm an Englishman in New York" they didn't say "I'm a Briton in New York." So if you go to Switzerland, where they have 6 ethnic groups, each ethnic group governs its affair. If you go to Canada, where you have the French and English, the English side organize their affairs in English, the French side organize their affairs in French. Presidency is rotational.
So it's a mistake that we are doing our own at the national level, taking things at the center?
Yeah, you see, centralization from the top does not address problems at the bottom. If you want a nation to move, the nation must move from bottom to top. And so when we move from bottom to top, we are following what we call inductive procedure. The advantage is that you address the particulars of every nooks and cranny. It means that what is on top is what we have agreed on. Now, if what is on top, at the top, is what we've agreed on, then when it is coming down, we easily accept it. But when it is discussed by a few people who are isolated, aloof from the nooks and cranny, when it is coming down, we begin to resist it. And so if you look at it, what colonization did is that it turned the African to orphans.
Right.
Because when your cultural foundation is destroyed, you begin to look for that cultural identity.
And let's talk about that identity. The identity question has always been there, Prof.
Yeah.
So if we have become orphans based on the beliefs or perhaps the ideologies of colonialism, isn't it time that we begin to realize ourselves to say, look, what identity are we carrying? Is it a misplaced identity? Let's retrace our steps.
We need to retrace our steps, and we need to do it now. Because this is the last century any African nation has to address its problem. After this century, any African existing will be just an amorphous.
You mean it?
Sure. Because our cultural foundation will be eroded. Now, let me use Nigeria for analysis, for instance. This year, Nigeria will be 60. Is it 65? 65. Now, the ethnic groups that make up Nigeria, none of them is less than 1,000 years. And so the question is, how do you use the experience of 65 years to address the problem of people who are over 1,000 years? Some of them are up to 25, 40,000 years. Because I remember as of 2008 that I watched a documentary on NTA. The documentary is a historical research of the peoples and culture around the river Niger River Basin, and they said we have 40,000 years as of 2008. Meaning by now, from 2008, it has added more years.
Wow.
So if you're going to use the experience of 65 years to organize make it the foundation of the coexistence of people who are 40,000 years, what are you doing? So that is why you see here the politician determines who is going to be the traditional leader. Right. If you go to England, the monarch determines what the parliament is. The monarch does not report to the parliament. The parliament reports to the monarch. That is why there is the House of Lords.
Right. Let's talk about that now, because every day we say politics is at the center of everything that we do. Not too long ago, the former military president, launched his book, A Journey of Service. And right there, it was revealed where he actually admitted that Moshood Abiola actually won the June 12 elections, and that if given a second chance, he would have done things differently. What do you make of that confession?
Well, you see, the thing about history is that you can never turn back what you have done. So that confession does not exonerate him. Religiously, it may exonerate him, because I see in the confession of a man who has been flogged by his conscience and is nearing his departure. And so perhaps if he does that, we might get it right. We might now begin to ask questions. Have we been doing it right? But the thing there is that, did he address the problem of structure? No, he didn't address the problem of structure. He didn't say how we should go forward. What he did was mere confession.
And people are saying, should he be let scot-free? Considering the fact that that action alone affected so many lives.
Who punishes him? This is a system that if you commit crime and you are high lord, and you go free.
In fact, people have equally said the gathering was more or less like a mockery of Nigeria, considering the fact that everybody were there. Instead of putting up a somber moment, it was a time for joy. People were rejoicing and all of that.
Well, that's absolutely. You said it all.
Quite unfortunate. All right, but that is on the one side. Because I'm just trying to retrace the issue you said earlier about character and we having to display some kind of identity. At the National Assembly, we're having all sorts of drama that are cropping up. You know, we have people who are supposed to be elite senior citizens, banter with words, you know, even bringing down themselves to all sorts of accusations and all of that. What do you make of the quality of leadership that we're having? People who are supposed to be leaders are the ones displaying, character that should be on the street.
Well, what they are displaying is not character. What they are displaying are characteristics. And these characteristics are characteristics of people whose interest is self-aggrandizement, whose interest is profit, what they will gather from Nigeria, not what they will give to Nigeria. So, because if you look at these people, look at the election process, how many of them are true representatives of the people? They were simply those who imposed themselves upon the people using the electoral procedure. Like late C.S. Mama would say, and Fela and late C.S. Mama agree on this. If you know Chris, why for Africa, as time they go, things the worst. Right. So it's democracy, crazy demonstration of Chris. And C.S. Mama says, in Nigeria, democracy, what we have in Nigeria is not democracy, but ochlocracy. And there's E.K. Ogudawale says kakistocracy. So all of these is a demonstration of madness, demonstration of rashness, and they call it Machiavellism. But I don't see any Machiavellism there, because if you understand Machiavelli, you see that the Prince of Medici had to use power, to favor the people. Because it is wrong to read Machiavelli, the prince alone, aloof of the discourse that came 10 years after the prince. Because the prince is meant to address the problem of a corrupt society. So the whole essence of the prince, like we teach in political thought or political science, is not just to grab power. In political philosophy, what is the essence of grabbing power? The essence of grabbing power is to make the state steadfast. So Machiavelli's The Prince is a tactic for addressing a corrupt society. Right. So, and if you look at all corrupt societies, the leaders that straightened out and cleaned up and addressed the problem of leadership in that corrupt society are called political virtuosos. Okay. In other words, they are moral exemplars. Right. And sometimes they are called benevolent monsters. People like Link Wayu, they know where you should go. And people, upstarts, who have already gained from the rot in the system. Right. You want to discuss with them, they'll kill you.
Quite unfortunate.
Yes.
Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Ethical values and leadership renaissance in Nigeria. A pathway to national rebirth is our focus this morning. I'm Professor Chiedozie Okoro, who is a renowned professor of philosophy. At least you can feel his impact on the program this morning. He's also the head of philosophy department for the University of Lagos. He's taking us to the classroom this morning, and we're looking through that very, very shortly. We'll allow you to join the conversation as well. But quickly, let's get back to the traffic situation out there. Okota is solo. I can tell you the Sele end, the stretch towards areas like Pako is looking pretty good to go. Likewise for the return journey. Agor Palace Road, both in and out, is looking good. Apple Junction, not bad at all. Inner part of Nwachuku Drive up to Sele is also looking good. Same for the return journey. Sele Link Bridge inwards areas like Ijesha is also looking good. Likewise for the return journey as well. Ibe Road, Akpata, all those areas, Transformer, the junction there to Ilasa underneath the service lane is also looking good. So most of those corridors, very, very, very good to go as we speak. We did tell you the major connecting points to the island are looking good, but watch out for A breakdown of a vehicle at Unilag Waterfront, that is inwards at Dekunle. That one is receiving attention as well. Mushin Corridor still looking cool and calm at this moment. No major worries. Bolade, Oshodi, Brown Junction, all those areas, very, very cool and calm. All right, and so if you want to join the conversation and probably ask the professor one or two questions, you can feel free to do so. And that's on 080-99-120-777 and 091-5387-7127. 091-5387-7127. Those are the numbers that you can call. Prof, what are the core ethical values that are essential for leadership in Nigeria?
They're simply the virtues. And the virtues, our own people say, patience is the father, the mother, the king, and the queen of all the virtues. Now, our leaders ask us to be patient, but they are never patient. Then, prudence.
Okay.
Fidelity. Frugality. Courage. Temperance. Moderation. Because what is virtue? Virtue goes with talent and skills. That is why if you look at countries like Israel, you cannot be a leader if you don't have a vocation.
You must have a vocation.
Yeah, politics is not a vocation.
Because that's what people say here.
Yeah.
I'm a politician. As if it's a
Politics
profession.
is not a vocation. Politics in philosophy is about the pursuit of the ideal state. And ethics is about the pursuit of the ideal human beings that will build the ideal states. We have not addressed such problems in Nigeria. And so, when you have leaders who are generous, they will give away the property of the country. And we have leaders who are miserly. They do not release funds when they should. But when you have leaders who practice fidelity, prudence, temperance, who practice frugality, who practice courage, who are courageous, who have conscience. When you have such leaders who practice moderation, they do things because they ought to be done.
So, do we have this kind of leaders in Nigeria today?
We had them, and we still have them, but the structure does not allow them to come up. And the followership, clap for clownish leadership. I'll give you an example. I won't mention my friend's name.
All right.
It happened in not in my wife's state, and I won't mention the state.
Okay.
He spent money on scholarship. He spent money on education, scholarship, transforming his community, bringing in electricity, bringing in internet facilities, bringing in a vehicle for transportation. When it came for election, election time, they asked him,
meaning,
what will he give us to eat? He said, what about this one he has been doing? He said, so that's stomach infrastructure. The followership is their own problem. Now, a man is building your future. You didn't see that.
Right.
That's poverty mentality. Because poverty is first mental before it manifests physically. So, now what they are concerned is about stomach infrastructure. Now, those who won the election, all right, over and above my friend, are those who gave them 2 naira, 20 naira, maybe 200 naira, 500 naira, or 2,000 naira, highest. The man that has spent fortune close to 1 billion naira as of 10, 15 years ago, you didn't vote for him.
And that's why people say that the problem here is not a problem of leadership, but rather of followership.
But I said they are complementary because it is the followership that transmutes into the leadership. So that's why virtue must run. Like Abiola used to say, he said, when the fish head is rotten, the fish is spoiled.
Definitely.
So virtue must run down. It's like in your family, you are not virtuous and you want your children to be virtuous. It's not possible. It doesn't work. It is you that will be a moral exemplar for your children.
Right.
So your children will be following after you. However, your children must follow after you if they want to be virtuous.
Lagos Traffic Radio, 96.1 FM, 09153877127. Prof is taking us to the classroom this morning, but he's talking to us some very, very hard facts that we need in order to reform our society and have a national rebirth. Some of you are sending in some questions. This one says, good morning and happy new month. Please, Prof. Okoro, how would you describe the current state of leadership, ethics, in Nigeria. Stanley Okoye is sending that one. Stanley, thank you so much. I see some of you are trying 09153877127. Yes, Prof.
I think there's a terrible approach to ethics in this country. We think that ethics is about code of conduct. So police code of conduct.
Let's see if we can take this call. Yeah. Hello there. Good morning. Hello. Okay, we lost that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we think code of conduct is ethics. Code of conduct is not ethics. In the first.
Okay, let's take this call. Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning.
All right. What's your name?
My name is Daniel.
Daniel, where are you calling from?
Jamil.
Oh, Damiu. Oh, Jamiu. Okay. Jamiu, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Ikeja.
Ikeja. So I have Professor Okoro here with me.
Yeah. I want to ask Professor Okoro, why is it that in this part of the world, generally, I don't think most leaders, anyways, if they are campaigning, they promise to include integrity, accountability, and all that. But why does it change as soon as they get into office? What's the reason for this?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Jamiu.
Yeah. Jamie, you asked a question that was in my mind when I was doing my research, PhD research around 1999-2000.
Okay.
And the question, I asked that question, and I had to look at other people. And I saw that Plato, who laid the structure for the transformation of the Western world, the academy, his parents, he was from an aristocratic family. And he was in politics. Why did he leave politics to found the academy? To address the problem of corruption, of lack of ethics and morals. And so he founded an academy for leadership training. Confucius in China did the same. He left politics and became an itinerary teacher, teaching nothing but Chinese ancient virtues. Now Confucius is the foundation of Chinese administration.
All right, just a second. Let me see if I can take his call. Hello there.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name?
This is Dakpo Victor.
Oh, Dakpo, it's nice to hear from you. How are you doing, sir?
Fine, sir.
All right, go ahead.
I really appreciate the lecture, the class we had this morning.
All right.
And my viewpoint is this. The professor has identified a lot of things. And if we look at it very well, he has identified the home setting, the leadership from the home. But then there seems to be one word that is missing in Nigeria, and that is the word consequence. We do things without consequences. And when you press or push for consequence, what then do we get? You get labeled. So if there have always been consequences, even within our local entity, I think this will reflect further. I was following the professor on his research on corruption.
All right.
My viewpoint on the issue of corruption, we always identify only the political leaders as the corrupt elements. But within the local setting, you see that the corruption is greatly embedded. But the worst corrupt sets of people, in my view, in this country, are the civil servants and the police. Whoever wants to take Nigeria forward must address those two settings. Once you address it, there's no way the politician can succeed in his corrupt practices without the politicians, the civil servants that knows the way out.
Okay.
There's no way.
All right.
Now the police are to investigate and ensure that it's not until I put up a petition. Constitutionally and statutorily, the police have the power on their own to initiate investigation. But what do we find?
All right.
In most cases, it is in the process of investigation, the corrupt actions are compromised, and there's no way a prosecutor can succeed if the ingredients are not complete.
All right, then. Thank you so much, Dakpo, for adding your voice to the conversation this morning. Prof, What do you make of that? It says consequences, normally out of the narrative.
I agree with that, Paul. And that's what we said from beginning. We are shameless. We stand on our wrong and claim rights. And then nobody is punished for anything. And just like I asked the question about Babangida. And so that's why the last person that asked the question, why is it that people campaign on points of integrity and virtue and they get there, they misbehave? Because the structure is not there. And then if you take it for the last, what Dapo said, it's not just the civil service and the police. The home is rotten. Gone are the days when your child goes out and brings something back home. The parents ask the mother. Right. The father will go and tell the mother, you, woman, go and look at, go and find out where your child got so. And then the woman will go and shout on the child. Where did they, don't kill me in this house. But today, the parents are the one telling the children, can't you see your mate? He said, but you're asking me to, he said, So the parents are the ones driving the children into prostitution and wrongdoing.
Which is quite unfortunate.
Yes.
All right. More calls are coming in. Hello there. Good morning. Hello. All right. We lost that. 08099120777. This one says, good morning, Victor. Please ask the guests, why do ethical values seem to decline once people assume positions of power in this country? Fumbi is saying that one. I think that's much related to what Jamil was.
The foundation is not there.
Okay, let's take this call. Hello there. Hello. Good morning. Okay, it's a bad connection. 08099120777 09153877127. So you're saying the foundation, right?
Yeah, that's why I said I was giving analysis of Plato and Confucius. What can one good egg do in the midst of 11 rotten eggs? It will end up rotten.
Right.
And so Plato practiced politics. Like now my students will say, you see a lot of students, they are writing before 2-3 years ago. A lot of students are writing Nigerian politics, this one politics, African, this one. Why are you writing? I want to go and change things. I say, oh, you want to go and join them. You are not changing anything. Because the foundation, you should address the problem of the foundation. The foundation is not there. And that's why we talked about devolution of power to decentralization.
Right.
To the regions, or if you ask me,
do you think
federation.
Do you think we should go back to regionalism? Can it still work?
Look, for me, if you ask me, Nigeria has 300 ethnic groups. These ethnic groups were independent before they were forcibly brought together by colonization. We should go back there.
You mean it?
Sure.
Okay. This one says, can leadership be truly ethical in a society where corruption is deeply rooted? Let's take this call. Hello there. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
All right, what's your name?
Oluwaluko is my name, sir.
Oluwaluko, nice to hear from you.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate our guest this morning.
Okay.
My professor, I just want to ask, sir, most of these things you were talking about foundation, is it not time this campaign begins at the grassroots? You see, the communities have the power. Democracy is the power of the government of the people by the people for the people. Is it not time such education, such enlightenment begin at our various grassroots? Most of these people we call leaders, they were followers before we got there. Then how do we go back to the grassroots? It's difficult to change most of these people's mindset because some of them, the moment they get what they are going to eat, they forget whatever will follow. It's right. When they are hungry again. But please, how do we go back to the grassroots and move Nigeria forward?
Thank you so much. Sir. All right, Prof, can the communities bring a change? Can it be a game changer?
Yeah, you see, the communities were the foundation of politics in traditional times. And that's why people like Emiko Atimama, who wrote Jin Dadi Jama, the ideology for the transformation of Africa, which Humphrey Nwosu agreed with. And that's why Humphrey Nwosu brought in the question option A4. Go to your community and begin from there. Because your community is the one that knows who you are. And so how do Africans choose their leaders? We don't choose our leaders behind their back. You'll be there. You say, oh, make that person financial. You say, no, the family is known to be kleptomanic. They don't take it deliberately. They take what they don't need. He said, give it to the other family. No, don't give it to that family. They are very miserly. Release money when we have problems. They won't release money. They'll be giving logic. Oh, give it to the other family. They are very prudent. When you give them money, they not only keep it, they multiply it.
All right.
And when they multiply it, they always make sure money is channeled to the right point at the right time. Square pegs. That's how Africans do their politics. They discuss. Now, that is why they brought this open vote.
Right.
Just queue behind. And then those who have the muzzle started killing people and instilling fear into people. Africans don't do secret balloting.
Is Nigeria too complex to govern?
It is not that Nigeria is too complex to govern. What the last caller just said is that the people don't know their rights. We are too afraid.
All right, this one says, Prof, can Nigeria undergo a leadership renaissance without first addressing cultural values? Ilesomi is sending that one in. Ilesomi, thank you so much.
I agree with you totally. That's exactly why. That's why I said we have over 200 to 300 ethnic groups. They were independent before colonization forcefully brought them together.
Right.
And we are forcefully keeping them. Let's go back there.
So let's talk about this now.
Yes.
Can we have an agreement? Or somebody says the best way is for all the regions to go their ways. Let's have sub-nationalities that are independent. Can we do that?
That is the way to go. And that is the whole thing about the Civil War and Aburi discourse. I won't go there because it's a sore point. But it keeps reoccurring. It will keep reoccurring because, you see, like I said, colonization destroyed the foundation of African identity.
Right.
What is that foundation of African identity? Your ethnicity. You are nobody without your ethnicity. You don't take a fish out of water. And you don't take a fish that is used to the swamp into the ocean. You don't take a fish that is used to salt water into fresh water. It will be struggling to survive.
All right. This one says, Happy New Month. Does Nigeria's political system encourage ethical leadership or make it harder? Emeka is sending this one in from Okoro. Emeka, thank you so much for that.
Well, it's a confused system in the sense that when you want to pursue your personal agenda, you bring in ethnicity. But when you now get into power, you dump ethnicity and begin to collude with your own political peers.
Let's begin to take this home this morning, Prof, because I know time is not really our friend. Yeah. So what will be the recipe for us to really have a national rebirth this morning?
Yeah, the recipe, it will be what we've been saying. We have two, as it's a complementary approach. The followership have to get it right by knowing what is theirs and demand their right. And then the leadership must not only be responsible, but be responsive.
Okay.
And we must let the law work. Whoever it is, once you misbehave, the law must apply. There must be in fact, we must elect our presidents, our governors, our ministers without immunity clause. Remove the immunity clause. No immunity for anybody. So that if you misbehave, we'll deal with you. Even in traditional times. For instance, in Southwest here, there was the Alaofe of Oyo. As powerful as he was not there. He had no immunity. Immune. He was not immune. If he misbehaved, they presented him with a calabash that had 3 properties, meaning the land rejects you, the people reject you, the ancestors reject you. Wow. And the man will go and commit suicide. So even in traditional times, we knew, like in my own language, they say, Ezebilo. If you translate it to Yoruba, it becomes Otaloba. The king, the leader, is an enemy if you allow he or she absolute power. So they never allow them absolute power. So how? No immunity.
So that clause of immunity should be taken away from the president, the governors.
We should take no immunity for anybody. The way it is for chairman and councillor in the local government, they have no immunity. Let that clause of immunity be removed for everybody. Governor, no immunity. President to vice president, ministers, commissioner, no immunity.
All right then.
Because the local government commissioner, chairman and councillors have no immunity. So why should we be practicing double standard?
Right.
No immunity for some people. There's immunity for some people. Remove all the immunity. Okay. Once you step on the law, you face the consequences.
All right, we'll leave it at that for now. Prof, yes. It's always a thing of joy having you in the studios, and I can tell you this conversation will continue because the lines are really, really buzzing. But let me say a big thank you to you for making it through to the program this morning.
Thank you very much, and happy new month to everyone.
Okay then, so we've been able to reflect a bit on ethical values and leadership renaissance in Nigeria, a pathway to national rebirth. And our guest has been Professor Chiedozie Okoro, renowned professor of philosophy and currently is the head of Philosophy Department for the University of Lagos. We have to go. The program has been produced by Mike James, Faith Ojokon in the building. And I want to say a big thank you to Joseph Folorunsho for logistics support as well. Of course, our social media team, we do appreciate Okpayemi Shodunke as well as Afe John. Big birthday shout out going out to my little girl, Oluwa Mumila or Guinea, clocking 8 today. So mom, dad, everybody, we are celebrating you. My name is Victor Oteria. I'm out. Stay very much within. I'll be back by 10:15 for Maritime Today.